has passed away at the age of 74. Today, we look back at his remarkable life, career, and the legacy he leaves behind in the world of music. Gilson Lavis was born on June 27, 1950, in Bedford, England. From an early age, his passion for rhythm and performance was clear. He grew up listening to the great drummers of jazz and rock, absorbing every sound and every beat. His early fascination with percussion quickly developed into a lifelong pursuit of musical excellence. Before joining any major bands, Gilson began his musical journey playing with various local groups. He developed a distinctive drumming style characterized by impeccable timing, a deep groove, and a sensitivity that made him stand out among his peers.
Absolutely. Gilson Lavis. Welcome to Off the Record with Vinny B. Gilson Lavis gone at 74 years of age. I became a Squeeze fan around the Thanksgiving period of 1984 by chance. I was dating this girl for a few days. She took her father's car because it was blocking my car in her driveway. He had a Mercedes, surgeon, and he was in his mid-40s. So he wasn't too old. Hey, Truth, how are you? I look in the glove box. I take a cassette deck tape out. Cassette. Pop it in. Remember in the old days when you had cassettes and it would stop where you played it? So it would continue right where you left off. And the song Piccadilly was on. Well, I had her played about 30 different times. No exaggeration. The hour and a half trip to my house in Brooklyn from Homedale, where she lived, with traffic, an hour and a half, I played the song over and over and over. Right there, she should have threw me out of the car. So she got me into Squeeze. Actually, her father did. And the rest is history. Very, very big Squeeze fan. Very Truth fan. Thank you, the Truth. And this one hits hard. It does. You know, we played with Squeeze during their most popular and successful period. Now, according to a social media post, there was no cause of death listed, but his keyboardist, Jules Holland, who was also a member of Squeeze, said he died in his home in Lincolnshire, UK. Now, he joined Squeeze in 76 before they released any music, and he remained with them till 1992. He later joined Holland's big band, Jules Holland's Rhythm and Blues Orchestra. Holland became a big nightly TV star in London, hootenanny, and he'd have musical guests on. And he played with them until he retired late in 2024. So Holland wrote, "I'm very sad to report that Gilson Lavis, my dear friend and long-standing drummer, passed away at his home last night. On behalf of my orchestra, Squeeze, his former band, and many musicians who had worked with him and befriended him throughout the years, our love and sympathy to Nikki and Gilson, his dear wife and son." He was a firm supporter of AA fellowship. He was a terrible alcoholic until the mid-'80s. And his final performance was with Holland's Rhythm and Blues Orchestra. Took place at the Royal Albert Hall, November 30th, 2024. And after the show, Jules wrote on his socials, "Thank you to everyone who came out for our milestone and our emotional show at the Royal Albert Hall." And it was going to mark the last stage performance with our drummer, nuclear reactor, and dear friend Gilson Lavis. So Lavis was retiring, and that was his last gig. For nearly 50 years, they shared the stage, a lifetime of memories. And thank you, Gilson. I look forward to reading your book. So he played in all the recordings from 77 until 91, the album Play by Squeeze. He was on great songs, right? Anyone who knows about Squeeze, Take Me, I'm Yours, uh, Up the Junction, Goodbye Girl, Cool for Cats, one of the biggest songs, Another Nail in the Heart, If I Didn't Love You, Tempted. Later on in the 80s, 87, their biggest hit in America, Hourglass. It was their only top 40 US hit, believe it or not. It went to number 15, I think, in 87 and 88. But he contributed to many recordings. Van Morrison, Ray Davies, Graham Parker, Rod Stewart, Swing Fever, which was released in 2024. Now, Lavis was a longtime performer on the UK performance series Later with Jules Holland, which was like a variety show, but music. In fact, I remember in 90 or 91 or 89, there was a show called Tonight, I believe, and it was with David Sanborn and Jules Holland. Short-lived in America. It was on about 11:30 on Friday night. Then they'd have artists on. So he was a brilliant drummer. I'm a drummer. He had impeccable timing. That's what Gilvis. I'm not going to say he stood apart from other drummers. A lot of drummers had great timing. Ringo has great timing. Not a technically good drummer, but he good timing. Gilson had great timing. But he had a substantial amount of experience before. He toured with Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, Dolly Parton. He's also probably about 4 to 5 years older than Chris Difford, who's about 69 or 70. I think Glenn Tilbrook's about 67 or 68. So he's older than them. He was an accomplished artist, several exhibitions in London. He painted numerous musicians: Lily Allen, Paloma Faith, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, Louis Armstrong, Lulu, English artists and others. But he was just, it seems bigger than life. And hey, Edwin, blessings, my friend. Hey, Joe. It means a lot to me because I'm a big Squeeze fan. Now, I never met him. I've gone to some one-on-ones, meet and greets. I actually went to a meet and greet with Glenn Tilbrook when he was soloing before Squeeze got back together. I think they got back together around 2009 or something. And the funny thing is, the person I was with, I went to see him and I said, "Oh, you guys, you think you'll ever get back together?" And he said, No. He said, Chris and I get along great now. And believe it or not, all the years we were together, I had bought 2 homes. He never came to my house. Like it was the weirdest relationship. And now we're actually friends. When I walked away, I told the person I was with, they're going to get back together. And she said, "He just told you he's not." I said, "I was in a band. I could see it." 6 months later, they got back together. Then I saw him in White Plains about 5 years later. And he was looking for a beer, Watney's Cream Stout, which is a British beer that when I worked in England, I used to drink all the time in the early 90s. They don't make it anymore. It was made by Anheuser-Busch, I believe. And flat beer, big foam head, big in England. And I had the last one. And I said, "Glenn," I was just about to pour it. I gave it to him. He sat with me for about 7 minutes, seemed like a lifetime. Yeah, because about 2 songs went off. Well, but I was listening to while I was with him. So yeah, probably 6, 7 minutes. And we talked. And I said, "I met you a few years ago at a meet and greet, and you were astonished that I knew the story on how you and Chris made up." I said, "It was out in Long Island." He said, "Well, how did you know?" I said, "You were over a barbecue and both of you were staring at each other for about 10 minutes and finally one of you said something." He goes, "Yeah." I said, "My friend Gretchen Miles, an actress, and she knew someone that was at that party in England. He said, "Yeah." I said, "You told me that you had never seen Chris's house. I hope you've seen it now." And he laughed. He said, "Yeah." He said, "It's very hard to be in a band." I said, "I know. I was in one. Not like you." He said, "Because no matter who the bandmates are, there are always egos." And I could tell you, when you're in a band, when you're young, a lot of times your lead guitarist will try to be the star. So he'll do a solo, you know, where it doesn't belong. He'll want to stand out. He wants to be seen. The drummer, unneeded fills, stepping all over the lead singer, where you end up burying the lead singer's vocal. That's what was good about Ringo. He never stepped on the vocals. Um, and it was wonderful. And then, although Squeeze has been back together for about 17 years, I saw him about 8 years ago. Him and Chris did a tour where they came out. There were two big beds. They came out on stage in their pajamas and then went back. One did a couple of songs and the other, and they dressed regularly. And it was interesting. And I love the song King George Street. A lot of chord changes. And I was sitting near the front and they had the microphone and you would be able to ask a question. I said, "How come you never play King George Street?" He said, "Oh, it's a lot of changes." And he started playing it for about 3 bars, like 4 in the bar. He played it. And it was great. And everybody cheered when I said it. But Gilson Lavis to me was, I'll give you an example. If Gilson is doing like a, right, he'll go something like that. He'll throw in an extra beat, or he'll accent. Great drummer, and he'll be missed. Now, I'm very interested to see Jules Holland hasn't played with Squeeze for years. They had this MTV special about trying to get bands reunited, and they would go around with an album cover and ask each member, and they'd sign it if they'd say okay. And I'm going to see if I can get the part where Jules Holland, you could see he's not looking to do it, but you can see Gilson Lavis was. I'll see if I can find it for you. It's a great series. It's really cool. I'll get to the part where they go. See if I can find it. I would think they have it up here. I've seen it on here. I think you'd get a kick out of it. I hope you're all doing well. I can find it. I don't know where it is. I've seen it on here. They tried to get Morrissey back. That didn't go too well. They don't have it on here. I'm surprised. It was interesting just to see his take on it. You could see he really wasn't interested. He tried to be nice, Jules Holland. He put a big question mark near his. They don't have it on here. I'm surprised because I've seen it on here. They've done Crowded House. They've done so many. Wow, I'm really surprised that I can't find it. I really wanted to show it to you. Flock of Seagulls. So many. I remember they tried to get Morrissey was hiding from them. You couldn't even find him. He's hiding, going out the back door. He had no interest. Berlin. Scandal. Yeah, they don't have it on here, but it was really interesting. It's a great series if you could ever find it. Oh, well, here's the playlist for bands reunited. Maybe they have it. No, they don't have it here. Surprised. But anyway, really good. If you can go on YouTube, and some of them are pretty cool. So, yeah, this is a rough day because it reiterates the fact that, see, there I am making it about me again. Uh, that I'm getting older. Not that he was a hero of mine, but part of the fabric of that band is gone. Even if he didn't play with that band anymore, right? He's still part of the band. It's much like I go see Squeeze now. I've seen them recently, within a year or two. I've seen them probably 20 times. Lavis, I saw him with them once. I saw them in '88 at the Garden. Then I saw them '93 and then on. So I only saw Gilson Lavis once with them. That was on the Hourglass tour. And back then, I just liked the band. I didn't know any. You didn't have social media. I didn't read up about all these guys. Just loved Squeeze. But Lavis was a tremendous drummer. He really was. I'll see if I could find you just a little solo. Really very, very talented. And I'm a drummer, so that stuff resonates with me. Let's see if I can get you a little something. It might not be your cup of tea, but that's Bruce Holland. really can't see much there. See if they go to a little solo. Nothing much there, but he was excellent. So I hope you're excellent. I hope you're all doing well. I just felt I needed to come on and do something with Gilson Lavis because I am such a big Squeeze fan. And, I don't do this for views. I could care less. So it's not about making money on here. So I do what I like. And I probably will do something with Squeeze and Elvis Costello. Miles Copeland, Stuart Copeland's brother, was a producer, and he produced Squeeze early on. And I might do something on Elvis Costello and Squeeze the Police. Squeeze, many thought they would be a powerhouse in the 70s, and they ended up being the least popular of all of the Police, Elvis Costello and all that. But they had been around since about 73. And their lyrics were a little too clever, British-wise, I think, for America. When MTV came around, if you weren't MTV friendly, you were lost in the shuffle. They didn't have the sex appeal of Duran Duran or Culture Club. They didn't really know where to put them. But if you listen to some of the songs, brilliant. Tempted's a great song. Paul Carrack, one of the best blue-eyed soul singers in the last 50 years. He was in that band. Glenn Tilbrook, a very underrated guitarist, could play anything. You don't hear about them. And they're still trudging on. So I'm wondering if Squeeze will do a benefit and Jules will join them for Gilson. Wondering. Be interesting. I'd be there. You certainly would. So a moment for Gilson and a moment for you guys. If you live in New York, certainly a moment for you after this election. And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Be safe. I think we're going to get into the 30s tonight. First time, I think, in New York that we're going to get in the 30s. It's getting cold. God bless you all. Thank you for coming in. I really do appreciate it. Be well, everybody.